1. Check. 1 2. 1 2 1 2. Check 2. Check 2 1.
It's okay now.
It's okay?
Yes.
Who owns this 2 cable? I beg. Please look from somebody. Which one is the first one? This one? Whose one is this? Okay, make I check. Alpha 2 1. Okay, good. Okay, let me check this one.
Wait.
Huh? Now this one, ba?
Remove the 2. Let's
2 1 check. Mic 2.
No. Moses. Now this is that one. Now here this earpiece. This
Moses. I bet when I contribute by correct this one.
Yeah, okay. It's clear. Oh yeah, wait. Alpha.
Hold on. 1 2 check. 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 It's very clean. Please.
No, not be my earpiece.
No, be
Change the cable.
One, two, three, four, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Sound check 1 2. Sound check 1 2. Sound check 1 2. Is that? Sound check 1 2. Sound 1 2. Is that?
Let the eye. Yeah. There you go. Please help close the door. Yeah.
Hey, you go walk.
You're not supposed to get audio like that. Now I'm here.
You go walk. I'm okay now. Now on
My mic.
Mic is on there.
Yes. Good morning, Good morning, the Director General, Nigeria Mining Cadastre Office, Engineer Obadiah Simon Nkom. Good morning, Chairman, Presidential Communications Team, and good morning, my colleagues, friends. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the 63rd edition of the Status Briefing Series organized by the Presidential Communications Team. It's also my pleasure to welcome you back to work after the Christmas festivities. We are here renewed to serve Nigerians all the more better as we go into the last lap of this administration. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari made diversification of the economy one of the key areas that the administration was going to focus on. And this was to be done by making substantial investments into agriculture, mining, and other areas. You may please recall that the President recently reappointed the Director General of the Nigeria Mining Cadastre Office, Engineer Obadiah Nkom, for a second term of 4 years in office effective 12th January 2023. The DG is here with us this morning and will tell us why the President reposes such confidence in him. He will also tell us, provide updates for us on strides being made by the President Muhammadu Buhari-led administration in the core area of the management and administration of mineral titles and mineral rights system in the mining sector of Nigeria. As usual, the DG will come here to this podium to speak with us for about 20 minutes, after which he'll go to his seat, you know the drill, and he will face questions as to what he has said. On this note, I would like to invite the Director General to the podium to speak with us and face us after. DG, sir.
Good afternoon. Permit me to... Oh, you know, when I see the light, I thought it's afternoon. So don't mind me, it's an interactive session, and I like having people around so that we'll be able to now talk to the world through the press. Once more, good morning, everyone. The special advisor to the President on Media, Mr. Femi Adesina, the Senior Special Assistant to the President on the Media in person of Garba Shehu, without having to be offended by way of protocols, permit me to acknowledge the SSA to the President on strategy on media, Mr. Uche. I hope I'm right. SA, well, we hope to see you there. But, and most importantly, the distinguished members of the press, I feel very delighted to be here. And, but before I continue, I want to introduce my team. First is Abdul Majid Ibrahim, is the Director Registry. I have with me Dauda Habila, who is a director in the DG's office and my special technical assistant. I have also Shade, head of press, who is equally with me, and then Mr. Dio, who is the head of protocol. Having said that, if I'm missing anybody, permit me to stand on the already established protocols. I think I'm excited and delighted to be here today to be able to talk to you because you have quite an important segment of the development of this country in terms of economic diversification that is taking place. Particularly, before I continue, I want to use this forum to be able to now appreciate and thank Mr. President, President Muhammadu Buhari, who in his kind wisdom has once more, without even knowing me, given me that responsibility to yet another second term. And I will keep repeating, if somebody who doesn't know you has given you that responsibility, I think the least you can do is to be able to now put in your best. But going even beyond that, Nigeria belongs to all of us, and we have a responsibility to be able to now put in the best we can, because posterity is going to judge me. God is going to judge me as to my responsibilities when I was given the mandate in 2019, and then I'm now given a second term renewal. It only calls for me to do more in terms of carrying out my responsibility. Not just my responsibility in line with the law, my responsibility to the role I need to play towards adding value to this nation, and most importantly, to Nigeria, to be able to now reposition the country. Once more, my mandate is simply administration of mineral titles in line with the provisions of the Act. And as a form of introduction, you will recall that way back in 2005, the reforms took place, and issuance of mineral title was done under the Mines Inspectorate. But to be able to now ensure that there is more transparency in doing what we are supposed to do and reposition the sector, the pre-cadastral activity commenced. This was done to be able to now ensure that the agency is established. And the agency came into being in 2007 with the reenactment of the Act, which equally stipulates a mining cadastral office to be established. So the Act, the Nigerian Minerals and Mining Act, established the Nigerian Mining Cadastral Office in 2007 with clear mandates as to administration and management of mineral titles and maintenance of the cadastral register. The essence of that is to ensure that mineral titles are administered and managed in the most transparent manner, and most importantly, in line with the provisions of the Act. When we commenced in 2007, we had a vision. Like they say, once you have a vision and you don't implement it, it's like an illusion. You are simply in a dreamland. You have a vision, you have a mission, and all these things you never implement. Then you are still in a dreamland. In view of that, we ensure that our vision for the sector, particularly as it relates to the Mining Cadastral Office and mineral titles, keys into the economic diversification of this country. And that is why we now said the vision providing an independent, efficient, and transparent mining cadastral system which grants and administers mining licenses and permits in accordance with the provisions of the Act. We keep emphasizing on the provisions of the Act. Anything that is done that is not in line with the rules and regulations, particularly in the Act, is not right and it's not systematic. And our mission, as indicated, is to deliver service reliably, effectively, and professionally using objective standards and procedures in accordance with the laws, particularly the Minerals Act, and then the regulations. How are we going to carry out our vision and mission? We must be able to now key it into basic international principles. What are the principles? The principles are simply the aspect of priority, use it or lose it, objectivity, non-discretionary, transparency, amongst other. So in line with that, you find out that we have functions, being able to now receive applications, process them, and grant them as in line with the law. And in the process of granting these mineral titles, we must be able to now key in the main ingredients, let me call them ingredients, of these aspects of the principles. These principles, like I earlier said, they are simply the priority. What do we mean? We simply means that first come, first serve. There is no way somebody will have a mineral title, an application. He is number one, first in time. Then somebody comes number two. Let's not even go too far. And then want to give priority to number two. We don't do that because our chronological and serial system of receiving application is there. We have unique numbers. I want to endeavor, maybe after this, I'm sure some of you have had reasons to come to the Cadastre office and see by way of revocation. And it's not arbitrary. We give you a notice of default for you to be able to now remedy the defect. We give you 30 days as in line with the law. You can decide to remedy the effect on the 29th day. We are fine with that. But once it is 30 days and you don't remedy the defect, then we revoke the title because we know that all these are can be subject to litigations. And that brings us to the point of security of tenure. Transparency is there, yes, but you must be able to now have the security of tenure. When you have a license, you have a way of planning in terms of your exploration, in terms of your exploitation over a period of time. You don't want to wake up in the morning after planning and investing a lot of time to find out that you lose that title. So there's adequate security of tenure. You have the law, we have the law. And that is where we come into objectivity, and which is basically based on our laws. We don't go outside the law completely. And that is why you find the mining cadastre is made up of multidisciplinary professions. Mining cadastre has lawyers, a full team from Ministry of Justice, because whether you like it or not, maybe I need to add, since the inception of the Nigerian mining cadastre, we are not saying that we are perfect, but records so far indicates that we have not had and lost any closely in all their activities to ensure that mineral titles are issued in the most transparent manner, not only for the Nigerian sector, but internationally, because we must be able to now ensure that we encourage and bring in foreign direct investments into the sector, bringing in big-time miners to the sector. As much as possible, we will encourage our local miners. And most of the international conferences we have had to go, you find out that they look at what? They look at your mining code, which is the law. They look at your policies. They look at how transparent you are. They have options of going to other countries. But the most important thing is once your licensing system is transparent enough, they have no problem. They feel excited coming to Nigeria. And at the end of the day, those are some of the things that make them leave other countries to come to Nigeria. We work closely with the World Bank. The good thing about our activities is, even most recently, the World Bank commended us for our activities, because some of this information come from the international community as to where the Nigerian mining cadastre is. I believe that with more time, we'll be able to now talk on those aspects. Like I indicated, our mandate and our functions is to grant mineral titles. One good thing about the law, is it removes opacity, it removes all the reforms, and the law has removed all those aspects of bureaucracy. You will be so surprised that at the end of the day, you don't need to know the minister to get a license, because out of the number of types of licenses that we have, 6 of them, the Director General of the Nigerian Mining Cadastre approves 5 of them. We'll be able to now elaborate some of that. So it makes it much easier. And once, that is why we say one rule for all. But we must be able to now look at the journey so far. We must have started somewhere, like I said, the evolution of the Nigerian mining cadastre. We started way back, the pre-cadastre period, which is 2006, before the enactment and the establishment or the creation of the Nigerian mining cadastre, which is 2007. Before that time, we had irregular shaped polygons. We had to be able to now consult internationally and align ourselves. We are equally, the mining cadastre, Nigerian mining cadastre, is part of the ECOWAS technical experts. We attend those to be able to now synchronize all the activities, so that if somebody comes, for instance, to West Africa, he doesn't need to find very sharp differences. So before then, we had these irregular polygons, which is outdated in other countries. We now moved into regular polygons, and then we did a revalidation then to be able to now ensure that we move to the new aspect. The legal framework was established, and the Minerals and Mining Act, that is pre-cadastre, was done. All this happened between 2006 and 2007. And the first upgrade was to be able to now upgrade the irregular polygons to regular polygons, especially with the enactment of the law. This was solidly funded and supported in collaboration with an intervention by the World Bank and then the federal government of Nigeria. And that was what brought about the first phase of the mining cadastre moving into a regularized system, which was then computerized. The second upgrade, this contract, the first upgrade was contracted to a German consultant from the World Bank, and it was quite successful from the computerization. Then the second upgrade was simply between 2010 and 2012. As at that time, the act was enacted, but the regulation was not ready, because the legal people will tell us that the act is to tell you what to do. The regulation will tell you how to do it. So the regulation, mining regulation, came into place in 2011. So that simply means that all our activities, all our workflow in the system, remember I said the system is computerized. So every of our workflow was programmed in line with the law. You don't use your own, independent activity or knowledge or, discretionary decisions. So the system was programmed in line with the law, but because the regulation came in place, it had to be incorporated in the workflow so that there is nothing you can do. You cannot take discretionary decisions because the workflow is programmed in line with the law. So that second upgrade was able to take us to ensure that we now improve another version. So the first version of SICTIM, which is the software, the second version was that. But we need to be able to go a step further. And we had to move to upgrading the system to an automated system, migrating it to an online system, so that at the end of the day, everybody anywhere in the world will be able to sit in the comfort of his home, in the comfort of his office, and he doesn't have to be working hours and see the system. Because that was our vision, to be able to now get to a point whereby we will equally play along on the same vein with the international community. Because each time you go for a function, they tell you, oh, your system is computerized. It's your system online. Online simply means real time. As I talk to you today, we want to thank Mr. President for having been there to be able to now launch the electronic mining Cadastre Plus system in November and migrating it to online. And as I talk to you now, since November last year, the system has been online, and you find people. I will elaborate more on that much later, but I just want to use that this time to be able to now appreciate the President, the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and you, the press, and all Nigerians for being behind us and believing in us to be able to now have this electronic mining Cadastre system, which was launched during the mining week in November, and the President launched it, ably represented by the Vice President. The electronic mining Cadastre system, like I said, is simply to be able to now assist mineral title holders. You don't have to come to Abuja. You don't have to come to the office. You don't have to risk. There are so many factors that makes it easier. I'll be able to now talk a little on terms of the benefits of EMC Plus, and I'm sure by the time we now interact, we'll be able to now put more light, shed more light on this aspect. Based on that, like I said, what does the electronic mining Cadastre, like we say EMC Plus does, is to be able to now reposition the mining sector to making sure that the economic diversification of this country through mining, the mining sector, is being able to be achieved. And that is why it will be able to now boost quite a number of things and make processing of mineral titles more transparent. You don't have to come to the mining Cadastre to be able to now, somebody will be telling you. No, you can take your phone. Some of you who are conversant with it can open the mining Cadastre website here and be able to now access. People will now submit their applications. You find most recently, people, in fact, it puts us on our toes to say what we are seeing, everybody in the world, not just in the listening, is equally saying it. So one can, in a nutshell, talk about the key benefits. You know, we have the zonal offices. It is during the last couple of years that we have established zonal offices. Government needs to be closer to people. So these zonal offices are in the 6 geopolitical zones, fully functional and fully equipped with the support of the federal government and with the intervention of the World Bank. Like I said, it increased transparency and effectiveness and efficiency of service. We talk about the executive order. We talk about service delivery. We must be able to now key into all those components and then improve on information dissemination. The press should be able to now key in They don't have to come and ask us who has this title. As stakeholders, you'll be able to now key into it, register, and then you'll be able to see the mining cadastre and see to a certain limit of information. But the general limits, you don't even need to ask. You'll be able to, because it now creates that aspect of transparency and other sister departments. We've had reasons to communicate other security agencies, ICPC, EFCC, DSS, police, and whatever. They don't need to start writing letters to us. All they need to do is to be able to now open the system, key into it, and they'll be able to see it. So we know that the whole world is seeing us. So we have also, for benefits of people who are using the system, if you are now have applied, you don't need to wait for us to. Immediately it is approved. Automatically it generates your notification. There are processes that are involved. You submit your application, we get community consent, quite a number of things, and then at the end of the day, a notification is sent to you that your application has been approved. Remember, while you are approved, there are applications that are refused equally. So, but if it is approved, we will give you details of payments, and all payments, right from the inception of mining cadastre, has always gone to, even before the commencement of TSA, we have never had reasons, we have never used cash as mode of payment. So when TSA came, in fact, we were using bank drafts then. So when TSA came, it made it much easier for us. And I want to put on record that 100% of our revenue generated is sent straight to TSA to ensure that it adds to the coffer of the government. And like we said, it reduced time. You don't have to fly from Australia to come to Nigeria to submit application, and you sit in the comfort of your home and do other and submit your application, and then paperwork and so many other things are equally reduced. And when you look at the technical benefits, you know, it tends to improve scalability. It reduces total cost of operation, because subsequently, at the end of the day, our staffs will be involved in other activities, which makes them more effective. If you have reasons to submit your application, you don't have to come and line up, and then our staffs are involved. They can do other things. So these are just aspects of the little benefits which we are going to elaborate more on that. And when we started, yes, we started revenue generation. Revenue generation, yes, is key. Because if you look at the aspect of revenue generation, we've had to be able to now ensure that we improve on it. And that is why, as you are very much aware, we had an 86% increase in revenue in 2001 compared to the periods. And because we were migrating to the new system, we had to do a lot of shutdowns. Because I know maybe there might be questions. Oh, 2021, you had 4.3, and then 2022, it went down. Because we are migrating to the new system, we wanted to ensure that we don't have a system that after 1 day, 2 days, or 1 month, 2 months, we have a problem. So we had to test run it, shut it down at times, do a lot of things, and that is what affected some of our activities in terms of revenue. But I can tell you with the new system, I can tell you without mincing words, that subsequently we are going to have a very good increase, because even as at then, we tend to form over 50% or about 50% of the revenue of the mining sector. And irrespective of that, what are the components, what are the things that we use to receive? In fact, in our revenue generation, it's nothing but application fees. Application fees, processing fees, and then annual service fee, which one can call it like ground rent in other places. We are not in charge of activity, which is revenue, royalties, and so on and so forth. So even with this little aspects of revenue components, we still want to ensure that at the end of the day, our revenue increase and will play the key role to be able to add to the development of Nigeria and increase the well-being, particularly the key components of job creation, revenue, and quite a number of things are very, very key based on our vision for this country. Some of our key accomplishments, one can say modestly, like I said, is the more you are transparent, the more you'll be able to now see people coming in to submit applications. So we'll have quite an increase on them. And the increase is not just nationally. You find foreign investors coming in to be attracted by way of our transparency, by way of quite the mining code, by way of our policies, by the way things are being done. Then the second aspect is like I mentioned already, the increase in revenue. And then the other one is the opening of zonal offices, which is taking government closer to the people. And you can see that the intent of MCO is to be able to ensure that we reduce the number of illegality or illegal miners or informal miners, as the case may be, so that at the end of the day, we make licensing easier for them so that they'll be able to acquire this license and let them know the benefits of having these licenses and the adverse effects on the community. We've been able to now internally have strategies. Somebody will ask, what strategy did we use? Because anything that you do without a strategy, then you will not be able to now achieve anything. So that is why we were able to now look at how do we improve on our revenue? How do we increase service, improve on our services? How can we be more efficient in running the system? How can we play the key role that the mining sector needs towards the economic diversification of this country? So, and as such, one key thing that we did was we are careful about ensuring that we are comply with the provisions of the Act. The second thing is to be able to now ensure that we have people who are owing us. I'm going to give you statistics of publications we've had now. We have gazetted, because that is what the law says. It's either you send letters. We have 4 components. The first one is defaulters. I'm sure the press knows, you've seen defaulters notice. If you have not paid, we'll put it on the newspaper, and then we gazette it to ensure that you pay, and we give you 30 days. So that the serious ones will come and pay. Those who are not serious will revoke it. Then the next one is we have had reasons to revoke titles. The records are there. And then the essence of revoking is to be able to now, not to scare people or not to have security of tenure, but at the end of the day to be able to ensure that at the end of the day, the mines field is cleared for only serious operators who will come in. So any notices that we have a gazette which can be made available to the press for records purposes, for even the defaulters list is a public thing, for the revocation list is a public thing. There are even people that they have their own grants. We gave them conveyed annual grants to them, notification of grants. They've not even come to collect it, and we have given them time. That is equally there. And even there are people who have licenses. They've not come to collect it, despite the notification. So we need to follow the provisions of the Act through the Gazette to give them that notice, and failure to come and do it will be able to now ensure that we cancel it. We have quite a number of projects, and we integrate very well with other agencies. We are moving into an era. We have e-records and archiving, which is a project which has been concluded. You don't have to come and be seeing bunch of files flying here and there. We operate 100% system now. My approvals, whether I'm within the country or outside the country, whether in the office or not in the office, I have my access to be able to now carry out my my work. One other thing is we relate with other agencies. We have the petroleum sector. They have what they call the OMLs. They have OPLs. they issue licenses for those areas in Nigeria over land space. We have petroleum pipelines, we have depots, we have the villa, we have so many forest reserves, we have all this one, we sum them up into restricted areas. A contract has been given and it is almost been concluded to be able to now get this data integrated into the mining cadastre to ensure that you are not going to now give licenses over runways, over pipelines, over a lot of things. We are talking about Nigeria. We need to be able to now harmonize all this. And this is what we are equally doing. That is already ongoing, and quite a number of activities to ensure that the EMC Plus has the integration of all this, so that when you are taking a decision, you now know whether the decision is right or wrong, because it can be subject to litigation. Having said that, we are privileged to have some photos of some of our slides of activities within the country, and we have pictures of some of the zonal offices and activities there. But one other thing that I will need to conclude is to be able to let you know that we have projects, we have key things that we align strategically. We have the Presidential Gold Artisanal Mining Initiative. The essence of that is to be able to now organize the artisanal gold people. So we key into that as mining cadastre. As much as it is under a Presidential Gold Initiative, we work closely with them to ensure that these licenses are given. Then the second aspect is we have the Presidential Fertilizer Initiative. These are aspects that we look at them, they're all tied to mineral, but at the same time, they are tied to agric. We talk about potash, we talk about phosphate, and these are all minerals abundant. We talk about ajakuta. Ajakuta, we need to be able to now have iron. And we need to be able to now produce steel. Iron ore does not come on its own and converts itself to the production of steel. There are some other components that are really necessary, which are what? We have bauxite, we have manganese, we have coking coal. These are things that we have within this country. So we work closely with agencies to ensure that at the end of the day, we don't deplete these reserves that we have. And then the steel components that we have, for instance, production of steel, we start importing these minerals. And that is why we found out that we have restrictions on some of these minerals. So the mining cadastre is not just about issuing licenses. The mining cadastre is being able to now key into the economic diversification of government, being able to now look at the market situation, the global market, and to be able to now key in and to ensure that what we have, we are being able to now monitor it. But one most important thing is, for instance, we have energy challenges. We have coal, abundant coal. Initially, people say, oh, coal is dirty coal, dirty coal. Now, coal is being sought for all over the world. And as such, we make sure that anybody that we are giving licenses for coal must be able to now show evidence of the development of the coal. So, why I'm saying this is to be able to now know that the cadastre does not only give licenses, we look beyond. We look at strategies. We ensure that at the end of the day, we look at tomorrow. We look at the world. We've had reasons to came back from Saudi Arabia that is known for gold. This is the second year running Saudi Arabia is having a conference on Future Mineral Forum. Second year running. You can imagine. And they brought in all the best people in the world, all the big companies in the world. That means they are diversifying into the mining sector. And we must be able to now key into that to ensure that these future minerals, which we have, lithium, cobalt, copper, just name them. We have them. So we need to be able to strategically ensure at the end of the day, we are able to now manage the mineral wealth of this country and be able to now convert it to be able to now add economic diversification and add value to our country to ensure that at the end of the day, there will be job multiplier effect to that, so that at the end of the day, we'll be able to now have quite a number of advantages. I think, having said that, I want to thank you for the, let me use the word, the little time I've said, but we can elaborate more on that. On a lighter note, I don't talk much. So, I don't talk much. Somebody said whether I'm a lecturer. I say I'm not a lecturer. I'm a bloody technician, and I'm proud of being that. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir, the DG. If we followed the presentation closely, we'll have noticed that, of course, one area that the MCO office has really distinguished is the area of transparency and the use of the internet. That's why the organization was able to clinch the award of the Nigeria Internet Registration Association for year 2022. As we just give a few minutes for the DG to catch his breath, I see that I see hands coming up. Well, that's what we expect. You can't have such an important sector like this and not have hands coming up. Can we go, DG? Yes. Okay. Reuters takes the first question. Bolaji takes the second question. Adesua takes the third question. And Stephen takes the fourth question.
My name, Digital. My name is Felix Onwa. I write for Reuters World News Agency. My question is on lithium. I hope I pronounced it well. Lithium metal, which is used for battery, glasses, and all that. I'd like to know if you had issued license for the mining of that metal, because I understand Tesla is an interested investor. So I want to confirm if you have issued a license, and then if you have done that, under what conditionalities have that license been issued? Thank you very much.
Please, let's still remember that we have one question. Don't double barrel your questions, please.
Good morning, DG. My name is Bolaji Ogundele, and I write for the Nation newspaper. Just yesterday, the presidential candidate of NNPP, Kwankwaso, spoke in Chatham House, London, and he linked the security crises we're seeing in the north, especially northwest, to mineral struggle. Now, you are the one in charge of giving certificates and authorities out to whoever wants to venture into that field. I would have thought then we shouldn't be looking around to know who and who occupies where that we're having crises, and it would have helped the security sector better in managing the crisis we're having. I want to know the role you are playing in helping out of the crisis we're having now. Thank you very much.
Good morning, and good morning, everybody. Congratulations on your reappointment. Despite what you have described, my name is Adeso Almoro, and I work with Arise News. Despite what you have described as a transparent and open process in your agency, we continue to see a huge revenue loss for the government when it comes to illegal mining. And more often than not, we see the Chinese behind those sites. How is that possible? What's going on? Apart from the revenue we lost or we lose to these foreign illegal miners, there's also the devastation to the environment where they operate. So all of this, how's your agency handling it? And is it that you have those who compromise your transparent open systems?
One more. Okay, Steve.
Good morning. I'm Stephen Ambulu. I write for the Punch newspapers. My question is still on the revenue generation. My question is still on the revenue generation, where my question is still on revenue generation. In the period between September 2021. In the period between September 2021 and September 2022, we learned that your agency revoked over 3,400 titles of miners across the country. How do you balance revocation of titles and your efforts to increase revenue? We just saw that the revenue from 2021 to 2022 dropped, had a slight drop. How do you manage that? Thank you.
Well, I'll just go straight to the question, and but before, maybe for subsequent questions, I want to make a clarification. I am Director General, Mining Cadastre Office, in charge of rights, mineral titles. I will, not that I will be careful, I will only limit my response to what is my mandate. And so as we go along, I want us, because you know my mandate, and as such, we need to be able to now tailor our questions towards that mandate. Because I cannot speak for any other agency, nor speak for the minister in terms of some aspects of policy. Having said that, the first question was on lithium, which is a mineral. And yes, categorically I can tell you that we have issued licenses just like in any other mineral. And the conditions for issuance of a license are clearly spelled out. Time will not permit me to be able to now elaborate more on that. But like I said, we talk about future minerals, and we must be able to now be strategic in terms of developing and making sure that people are busy, rightfully in line with the law. They say if you lift the bar too high, people will what? They'll go underneath. As much as possible, we have considerations as to issuance of licenses, and we are being adhering to that very, very strictly. But I can tell you that we have issued licenses in line with the law for lithium. From the records and from my little head with this cap, I've not seen an operator called Tesla in my system. If you want, like I said, the system is so transparent that today, if you apply you want to see all the people that have been issued licenses for lithium or any other mineral, the mining cadastre will oblige. So I think that answers your question. The second one is simply from the nation in terms of security crisis. I beg to make comments, but whatever we are doing, like I said, there are responsibilities, and I think the Honorable Minister will be in a better position to speak on those policy matters. The third question is equally tied to huge revenue loss. I am in charge of rights. There's another department under the ministry called Mines Inspectorate in charge of illegal mining, in charge of activity, in charge of making sure that they eradicate illegal mining. My mandate stops at issuance of licenses and they take over. So it will not be right for me to speak on behalf of another person of which I don't have that mandate. But the ministry is there. Those departments are there that you can now ask questions, but particularly these are more questions in terms of revenue. When you talk about revenue loss, I talked about revenue loss in terms of the mining cadastral office in terms of titles. And which leads me to the last question, that people, the press, will say people are given licenses and they put it inside their drawer. Some members of press are saying that if we are looking for revenue generation, how do we balance revoking those people? So what is our primary concern? Our primary concern is to ensure that the rightful people are holding those licenses, not the wrong people holding those licenses. And that is why we have the principle, which is international. You use it or lose it. We give you the license. If you don't use it, we go through the provisions of the Act. And the primary aim of government, as much as, yes, we need revenue, but to be able to now ensure that we develop the sector. There are other big-time companies that come, and then you find out that some of these pockets of areas that are rich, people are holding those titles and not doing anything, or they for one reason or the other. So we ensure that we implement the angle of use it or lose it. As much as we are having revenue at the back of our mind, but priority is development of the sector and making sure that the wealth that we have is properly developed towards the economy. But all these questions, there are reasons if we can still talk more, because I know there are so many other people that still have more questions.
Next batch.
Second batch, Choji, Voice of Nigeria, AIT, and John Bosco.
Okay. Are there questions online?
No,
no online.
DG sir, I would like to know if there is, my name is Timothy Choji, Voice of Nigeria. I would like to know if there is any form of collaboration between you and the state governments towards giving the needed enlightenment to those involved in mining activities as a way of reducing the rate of illegal mining in the country. Thank you.
DG sir, my name is Cyril Okoko. I also work for Voice of Nigeria. Recently we saw activists protesting against coal mining in Germany. The issues they were raising or they're raising are quite different from what we saw when coal was a major revenue earner for Nigeria.
Are you considering these issues in issuing licenses for coal miners in Nigeria?
Yeah, DG, sir, my name is John Bosco Abakura, right for Vanguard. You said some people are owing. I want to find out. According to you, we have people who are owing us. How much are they owing? And who are these people owing? And what efforts have you made to ensure that?
People are owing you. Oh, okay.
Who are the people owing? How much are they owing? And what efforts have you made to get this money?
The triple barreled one.
DG morning, sir. My name is Yemi Adebayo from AIT. My question is going to the line of the revenue generation in terms of what the agency is doing. We understand that your revenue generation in 2021 compared to what you generated in 2022 is quite different. I want to know what happened. Would you attribute it to the issue of COVID, because there are reports that you mentioned that COVID was part of the issue?
I think I can go ahead. The first question was from about collaboration with the state government. I can tell you we have on record, we collaborate closely, whereby we have mineral resources committees which are created and established in the states. And the essence of that, the chair of that committee is a nomination from the state, and we have other people involved. What is the essence? Is to be able to now advise the minister on mining matters periodically. Apart from that, we have quite a number of state government that have special purpose vehicles, that SPAs, SPVs, special purpose vehicles. Huh?
Of SPVs now. SPV is an issue now because it's happening with the political.
Oh. I always enjoy when I started and I said good afternoon, and then we laughed. In most cases, I'm happy that we are laughing when we are talking about SPV. I didn't get the joke. And I still have not gotten the joke. So there are many, because those special purpose vehicles are an arm of investment for government. I can tell you that I can name so many of the states that have those companies established by their own act to be able to now compete favorably and be the driving force for investments to their state. So, like I'm saying, we work very, very closely. If not for anything, there's the NMCO that is established for the ministry. And even some of those states, they even have vehicles that were given to them by the ministry to be able to now carry out their function. If going to the second question is the issue of coal, I think it is very, very clear that I made a statement and I said we are looking at, I think in my presentation I indicated that the coal aspect and some other minerals, like we said, we are talking about energy, coal to power projects for this country. So there are restrictions and conditionality for the issuance of coal licenses, unlike what used to happen before. And it's not just that in terms of other minerals. We have to be able to now put in a strategy. And if you remember, I keep emphasizing that we are not just issuing licenses because we have met the conditions. We are thinking about putting in a strategy to ensure that we look at our country, we look at the future, and be able to now ensure that we strategize. Just like I indicated, Are we now going to give licenses for all the minerals associated with the production of steel in Ajakuta? And then when the time comes, we'll now be importing minerals? No. So we think beyond. We think beyond in terms of strategy. The issue of transparency is there for the third question, whereby people who are owing. It's a very, like I said, I remember I mentioned it, if you need the list, it has even been published, the list of defaulters. The essence of the whole thing is to make sure that people are aware. And we went further to gazette it. This gazette is a public document that can be made available to the press. The director registry is here, and we have all those gazettes. It's not meant for us. So if you are owing, whether big or small. The amount you are owing is there. In fact, from the law, we have provisions to ensure that you pay. If you don't pay, we revoke the title. And once we revoke the title, the area becomes free. And remember, when you are owing government, the law gives us permission, gives us the right to prosecute you, or let me say, to get our money back in terms of you are owing. And we have done that a couple of times to ensure that anybody who is owing must pay. And that is why we used that strategy and the revenue went up. You have 4 titles. You are owing in 2. You have not cleared that 2. You now come the following day, you are putting an application, a 5th application. We say, wait, you are welcome. Like they say, he who goes for equity must come with clean hands. Go and clear your debt. When you clean up and you are clean, we can now receive your new application. And that's what happened when our revenue now went up. And we are putting in some of those strategies to ensure that our revenue goes up. In terms of seeing the 2020, even during COVID, that was when our revenue went up. It was not about anything, but it's just about making sure that with my team and with your support, I pray that the SA will give me permission to equally ask you questions. What you are doing for the country towards supporting the mineral sector and mining cadastre. I don't mind the way I put it, but that's the way I'm going to put it. Because you are major stakeholders. And when we leave this place, it is what you say that the whole world will hear. And the whole world will move positively or negatively. So I think, having said that, the issue of this revenue is very, very key, especially this particular time. And we are very transparent. If you need the CTC of any document, any application belonging to anybody, any license or whatever, the law permits you. The law permits us to give it to you. Because like we say, anything we are doing can be a subject to litigation. Like we said, in terms of these revoked titles, recently the gazetted one is we have defaulters that we have published, I think some few weeks ago, of 3,432, and we have revoked titles, those ones of 3,402, and we equally have people that have grants they've been communicated. Just wait until when you cancel it. That's when you see lawyers wearing their wig and writing letters to us. You have cancelled it, you didn't follow the provisions. We have gazetted it. That is what the law says. And we have gazetted 495 for people who have grants, because we are going to cancel it when the time lapses. And then we equally have people who have licenses that have refused to come and collect it. We have gazetted that one. Because the law says, before you take any action, you send letters, you send letters to the address where the applicant had used in his application. And if after 30 days he does not remedy the defect, you revoked or you gazette. As much as we appreciate communication, some people will look for windows to say when the letter came, it was not, or he's just saying it when it gets to court so that, but gazette, once it is gazetted, we ensure we put it on our website, which is on the website, so that you don't have any excuse, and gazette is final. We now have those ones to arm ourselves so that at the end of the day, we know what it is to lose a case. Thank you very much.
One last question for Adesua.
It says that your job is for the promotion of the private sector investment in solid mineral sector, improvement of the investment climate and attraction of foreign investors, generation of appropriate revenue for the government. So how is it that you are comfortable with just issuance of license when we have Chinese nationals cutting away what could be coming into the government coffers? It sounds like a lot of government bureaucracy allowing for Chinese nationals to mine illegally in Nigeria and cut away our revenue. Because when I asked you the question initially, you said yours is just to issue licenses. So how do we have illegal mining by Chinese nationals and you are expected to improve the investment climate and attract foreign investment and also generate appropriate revenue for the government?
Well, thank you very much I can see that you have passion for the sector, and very soon, no, well, I say the sector, we are limiting it to, okay, for the country, but for this purpose, for the sector, and we are all here to work for government. And when you look at the general perception, or when you look at the general mandate of the ministry itself, is to be able to now attract foreign investment. So everybody, each department has that responsibility, or each agency has that in everything you do, whether licensing, whether monitoring, whether mines environmental compliance, or geological survey, whatever you do is to be able to now attract investment to the country. But at the same time, we have in every component, we look at the law. What does the law say about mining cadastre? If you read the law, it tells you what? To administer and management of mineral titles. And at the same time, we have a responsibility to be able to now have other departments keying in our own, with our own contribution. Even when we go for conflict resolutions, we don't just go on our own. In the field, we make sure the mines officer is the one who is in charge of the state in terms of activity, and then we become part of it. So we are not running away. We have our own component of supporting to ensure that whether it is non-nationals doing illegal activity or whatever, we have our own responsibility to be able to now key in. The whole idea of administration of mineral titles is to ensure that everybody who is carrying out an activity is licensed. And we key it into other departments that are there. So I want you to know that we are not shying away from any responsibility. We are keying in our own, from our own mandate and responsibility, without having to carry out any overlapping function and taking somebody's job that it usually happens, you know, in some establishments. Once you do that, when there's a problem, everybody will say, I don't know, but they'll now blame the person who has that responsibility. Your point is quite noted, and I know that at the end of the day, another department and the whole ministry itself is looking at it carefully, and I know that I'm very much conversant with activities. I'm privileged to have been, let me say, been in the sector since my 1983 to date, and I thank God for being alive, and I thank God for being part of this. I'm going to put it in my CV that I came for to the State House to make a presentation.
Before you round off, there's an online.
Okay.
Sorry. There are two questions actually, but I think from what you said that you are not in a position to address them, because we're talking about what government has generated over time in the mining sector. So that's is not within your purview. But there's one that is linked to what you said. You said that the list of defaulters are on your website. So the question by Fairchild Fred is, if that list is on your website, how come you can't put the list of people who have applied on the website too?
People who have applied?
Yeah, why not put licensees on the website too?
License holders, if you go into our EMC Plus now, like I said, people will be able to now see mineral title holders in different capacity, even with people who have submitted applications. So all you need to do, I've already said it in my presentation, that I want to press. You are the ones to be able to now key in and log into the system and see for yourself. You know what I tell you. I remember that we just came back from Saudi Arabia. Their minister, deputy minister, now said, don't believe what I am telling you. I'm just quoting him. Let me say I quote, so that you don't say that is what I said. The deputy minister in Saudi went up, he said, I quote, don't believe what I will tell you. Don't believe what somebody else will tell you. But I want you to go to the streets and find out for yourself whether what we are saying is right. Which simply means go to our EMC Plus and you'll be able to now see the level of transparency in terms of mineral title holders that we have. We are not 100, no system is perfect 100%, and we are actually working towards perfection, and that is why we have that collaboration with you to be able to now continue to improve on what we are doing. The number, we have a number of, I know we have, I don't want to quote, because it's just like today, the way we work, our deliverables are licenses. Just like people give birth, people equally, as I'm talking to you today, there are some that are expiring today. You know? So, and I don't want to say I am DG MCO, I say about this. But if you come to our system today, we'll be able to now give you the exact number. Over 6,000.
The 9,000 is on the website.
You see, if for any reason, if you for any reason, why I say that I'm working on the principle of, for now, we have, if you are seeing 9,000, if you remember I told you we have over 3,000 that are revoked, we have just gazetted. And we are going to implement that. So when you now look at that implementation, I want it very clear. And 3,000 is removed. We end up have 6,000. Yes.
Good.
So at the end of the day, from the little arithmetic I know, from 9,000 plus that you see there, if you remove 3,000 plus, you'll be able to now have over 6,000.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, my duty now is to just give appreciation and thanks, but you have a closing statement? Yes. Okay, the DG has a closing statement, so let me allow him to make it before I say the thank you.
Okay. I will not say much, but I remember that, like I said, and I repeat again, the press is a major stakeholder. They are the interface. I'm not a press person, but I think from the little I know, you are the interface with the whole world. And we want to close up to be able to now have these facts. Appreciating the fact that we are here. Like the director had indicated, last year, there is the NIRA award that was given to the Nigerian Mining Cadastre for being the best digital and innovation federal government agency in Nigeria. And it cuts across, you know, the number of agencies that we have. But all of you are already aware that at the end of the day, we had 6 that were selected. Maybe 1 or 2 of you were there in Lagos. And then at the end of the day, we had the FRS, we had the CAC, we had LCC, and quite a number of them, Nkom, and one agency called Nigerian Mining Cadastre. And we are privileged to have won that award, which asks for more work. I can tell you that we need all the support that is there to be able to now move the sector collectively towards making sure that we have job creations and whatever. Thank you very much for giving me this singular opportunity, and thank you for this time.
Thank you very much, DG. When the DG spoke about their processes, he made it appear so simple. But let me give this testimony to back it up that yes, it is simple. One day, a cousin came to meet me. He said, I want to apply for mining license. Can you link me to the DG Mining Cadastre office? I told him, I do not know him, I have not met him. He said, just give me a note. So I wrote a note to him. A couple of days or weeks later, my cousin came back and said, I got my license. So, without me calling him, without me doing anything, he applied and got his license. So that means if there are journalists there who also want to go into mining, just apply. SPV, if you want to go into mining, just apply. I can assure you, you'll get the license. So, thank you. Well, by the way, that my cousin came to my house this morning, and I told him, I said, you came on a good day. Do you know that the NMCO is addressing the president? I said, please help me say thank you to him. So, I'm saying thank you on his behalf.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
My duty now is to appreciate all the stakeholders. Let me start from the presidential communication team. Those who put this together week after week. Did you say this was the 63rd edition? Yes. We have done this for 63 weeks since we began. So I want to thank those who put it together week after week, the presidential communication team. I thank Malam Garba Shehu, Tolu Ogunlesi is there, Uche Adibe is there, Biodun Olatunjoye. I've seen Boso, I've seen James, seen Atta, and seen our technical DG, our technical people. Is there anybody I missed out in the PCT? So thank you for doing this week after week. I also want to thank our friends in the media. You know, I never forget that parable in the Bible. A man put together a feast. And when it was time for the feast, all the people he invited did not show up. You know what he did? He told all his servants, he said, go out into the street. Anybody you see, pull them, bring them in, let them come and eat. Because the guests didn't show up. If we put this together and you, members of the press corps, don't show up, then who will our guests talk to? So we thank you for showing up. Week after week, every Thursday you cover this and you cover it well. We appreciate you. Then the DG and members of his team. Let me start with the STA, to the DG, Engineer Dauda Habila. Thank you for coming. The Director Registry, Mr. Abdul Majid Jatao. Our own sister and kindred spirit, Assistant Director Press, Fola Shade Fatoke, you're welcome. And then the protocol DG, Mr. Temitayo Omosa, you're all welcome. And then last but not the least, the DG himself. Thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing information with us. Thank you for sharing knowledge. And thank you for what you are doing towards the diversification of the country's economy. You know, a lot of people tell me, what has the Buhari administration achieved? Many, but one important thing is that for the first time in this country, the economy has been diversified. It used to be that petroleum sector constituted 80 to 90% of our GDP. Now, it contributes less than 10%. Where do the others come from? From places like mining. So thank you for the good job you are doing, and thank you everyone for turning up. Hope to see you next week. God bless.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. We'll take a group photo.
Okay. It's coming over here.